Hi, my name is Daniel. I'm a product marketing manager in the IT and information technology industry, and I give Klaviyo a 5 out of 5. Before switching to Klaviyo, we were actually using MailChimp, and we were really struggling with MailChimp to create different segmented paths, just automated paths for our email subscribers to go through. There was a lot of recreating different campaigns or having to work around, kind of force MailChimp to do what we wanted it to do, since didn't have that flexibility built into it. There are also just some other little, I guess you could say, bugs or things that just made the whole flow and working with it very cumbersome if you wanted to be fast and nimble with the different flows and things that you wanted to try. Then before moving to Klaviyo, we actually checked out Drip, ConvertKit, some of the other ones, and ultimately, like Drip seemed a little more focused on e-commerce businesses, whereas ConvertKit seemed more for the personal letter type or personal email type communications and not necessarily as robust as what we needed. So ultimately, we decided to go with Klaviyo. So there were a couple reasons we chose Klaviyo. Number one, we wanted something that we could easily visualize a flow that our subscribers were going to go through and have it be flexible, where if someone didn't meet certain criteria, maybe they wouldn't get an email, but they would still be in that overall flow, and they would get pulled back into it. And Klaviyo absolutely had that flexibility to be able to do that. Something that was a cherry on top was that we didn't need to keep paying Zapier for all the zaps going through Facebook leads when someone would sign up for our mailing list on Facebook and then get pushed into our email. With MailChimp, we had to pay for every single one of those through Zapier, whereas Klaviyo has their own integration. So that was absolutely a cherry on top. Some of the other things that we liked about them were simple stuff, just like being able to save a block of content as a template and then push that into any email you want. It is incredibly frustrating if you are creating a new email and you have to grab in a nice piece of content that you used in a previous email, and you actually have to recreate it all from scratch versus just one click pulling it in. So those were a couple of the highlights that told us Klaviyo is just a faster, much easier way to get things done. Yeah, so it was actually really easy to onboard in, but we didn't do a full migration. The reason being, in the beginning, you want to be really careful about your open rates. So we only started shifting over some of the incoming leads, the people that we knew were going to have really high open rates, or people who just purchased, and we just pulled those over, pushed those lead flows or those email flows into Klaviyo, and then set up the automations in Klaviyo, which was really fast and simple. But we didn't migrate over our entire email list. A couple of reasons was we didn't want to keep sending out email blasts that might have lower than let's say, between 20 to 30% open rate, and that would then impact our deliverability on Klaviyo in the future. So especially in the beginning when you're, quote, warming up your, I guess, IP address or whatever it is in those the first year, 6 months, Klaviyo and other services will recommend you keep a really high open rate. So long story short, we just pushed new emails into Klaviyo, and we have yet to move over the entire chunk of the rest of our email list into Klaviyo. So I think if you're considering Klaviyo, there's a couple things to think about. One is, what kind of marketer are you? If you are a small business owner that needs a lot of things in one and just a really simple tool, maybe MailChimp would be the way to go, or something like that, where they seem to be very broad in their focus, building landing pages and all that kind of stuff. And maybe better for a variety of different tasks, but not as deep in each one. I would say if you are a email marketer and you need a lot of flexibility around who gets your emails, when they get your emails, what the rules are, what the triggers are, a whole bunch of different variables like that, then Klaviyo is absolutely the way to go, and it's definitely simple to use as well. I also like the analytics on Klaviyo in the emails much more than what's in MailChimp. And so those are some things I would consider. The one downside that we came across is that it takes up to 2 hours for them to sync your leads from Facebook to Klaviyo, whereas, for example, Zapier does it instantaneously. Now, you can still do it with Zapier, but if you want to cut those costs and do it through Klaviyo, just realize that there may be a delay, And depending on, what you're doing and what you're marketing, or how much you prioritize having someone get an email within, let's say, 5 seconds or 30 seconds versus maybe half an hour getting that first email, that could be a factor in your evaluation.